Stories about ghosts, poltergeists, apparitions, and things that go bump in the night are as old as time itself. But capturing definitive proof of their existence has proved elusive. Until now. Modern technology, from dash cams to mobile phones and CCTV surveillance, means that investigators and witnesses are able to capture what they believe is genuine evidence of paranormal activity.
Oh, it's breaking out! Those are aliens!
We've enlisted a panel of experts to analyse some of the most exciting reports from across the globe.
No way!
Don't see how anybody could explain that any other way than paranormal.
That is really bizarre.
Have we finally been able to prove the impossible? This is Paranormal Captured. Tonight, we investigate an evil entity in a suburban home.
Present yourself to me!
Uncover the truth about possession.
Suddenly she was on fire. And I knew straight away I was dealing with a really bad energy.
And analyse evidence of an unidentified flying object.
Circle now, that was a ball just a minute ago.
Mine, isn't it?
To sort fact from fiction, we've brought together an expert panel of psychologists.
I like to observe people's behaviour.
I'm very interested in how perception and memory work.
And some of the most experienced investigators from the paranormal world.
I would love to find out what it's like on the other side. We're always going to be searching for answers.
All hoping to see the paranormal captured on camera.
What the hell is going on there?
Paranormal encounters have been reported across the globe for centuries. Whilst some might be a shock to the senses, most are harmless experiences. But occasionally, events of a more disturbing nature are documented. Possession of the human body is described as a condition where external forces physically take control. In 2018, in Singapore, the bizarre activity of a maid prompted the employer to check their CCTV. What they discovered has left them confused and worried.
These videos crack me up, you know. I love that, look at that.
She looks very disturbed, very horror movie type, almost too horror movie type.
Looks very Exorcist, very Carrie.
I do believe that people can be possessed. To me, that looks like somebody just reenacting a scene out of a horror movie. Looks like they're having a fun Halloween party.
The idea of possession takes form in different cultures. In the past, somebody having an epileptic fit would have been seen as being possessed, and people would have explained it in that way. And I wonder if those stories get passed down, and those narratives take on different meaning, that a person can actually be possessed by a spirit.
Across centuries and cultures, possession has been well documented, and exorcism is the practice of evicting these negative entities who are trying to cause harm to the living. Unlike other paranormal topics, not many believe it is possible, and this has made Ralph Keaton one of the UK's most sought-after exorcists. In 2018, in Yorkshire, England, Ralph was called in to deal with an extreme case by a young family fearing for their lives.
Imagine moving into a brand new property. It's only been built 6 months. You move in with your partner, and suddenly the house next door implodes. Now, I don't mean explodes outwards, I mean goes in on itself. So much so that the engineers that are working on that property can't figure out why it's done it.
Ralph mostly operates as a medium, helping people to deal with paranormal activity. Only rarely does he have to perform exorcisms.
I've developed over the years I've been working what I call a malevolent risk category. And they go from 1 to 4. 4 is your average, every run-of-the-mill daily ghosts. Poltergeist, for instance, basically things happening around you. Category 3 basically runs into objects flying towards you. Category 2 is if it's physical harm to you. You get cut, you get hit, you get thrown. Category 1 is incredibly rare. They're at the top end, and that's life-endangering. This particular case is what I call a Category 1. It's right at the top end of something you don't ever want to get involved in.
Ralph was called in to help when all other options had been exhausted.
I took all the keys off them. I took the keys off anybody else. We didn't tell the neighbours too much, and we locked the doors. I left it for 2 days, walked back in, and I promise you it looked like somebody burgled the place. Everything was tipped upside down. Chairs, doors were ripped off, radiators pulled off the wall.
I would have had the house rigged up with cameras. If you're going to take the keys off people and you're going to say, you know, let's see what happens, and then you only come back with a photo of something ripped off a wall and a chair stacked up on another chair and so on and so forth, that's not enough evidence for me.
The worst scenario was little baby in a cot, the cot sets on fire. So we have to get the baby out quickly. She's got a set of louvered blinds, though they set on fire. And it then led up to her herself, the girl I was dealing with, standing in front of me, and she said, we were in the kitchen, and she said to me, can I make you a cup of tea? And I said, yeah, go and make me a cup of tea. She turned around and walked away from me, and I saw a small flame from the floor leap straight onto a leg, and then the next minute, a whole leg went blue flame, all the way up her, and suddenly she was on fire. And I knew straight away I was dealing with a really bad energy.
I do not have an explanation for that. I'm not even going to pretend to have an explanation for that.
This has always fascinated me. Spontaneous human combustion.
For a person to suddenly self-combust is just crazy. You know, if there's no fire underneath her, there's no source, why? Why would that happen? I certainly don't have an answer. I'm sure those people don't have an answer. It's terrifying stuff. Terrifying.
I got other energies that I work with to come in. Luckily for me, these things dealt with it and we've got rid of it. Seeing somebody on fire in front of you has changed my whole perspective on things. But it's also angered me enough to sort of now realise that that can't happen again. That's never going to happen again.
If somebody is doing an exorcism on someone who has been suffering so much and going through internal struggles and is manifesting in their behaviour, and somebody comes along and says, I can remove that from you, that may cause that person a great sense of relief and release. You could say that is psychologically a very powerful tool.
Malicious paranormal encounters are rare, and the reason they happen is not widely understood. In Middlesbrough, in the northeast of England, another family home is also suspected of housing harmful entities. Rose Fox was just 7 years old when her family moved into the property. The activity she experienced was so extreme, she now refers to her childhood home as Hell's House.
It looks so welcoming, looks lovely with all the palms and everything. As soon as you walk through the gates, it hits you. It's like a brick wall. The first 3 days I was here, I woke up, now I remember it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and I saw a full manifestation at the side of the wardrobe of a man who had a hat on, pair of glasses, he had a suit on, he had a walking stick, and he was staring right at me.
This was just the beginning of many terrifying encounters for young Rose.
More and more frequently, I used to feel something on the bed, ripping the sheets off my bed, and I used to try and hold the sheets, and you used to hear it walking around the bed, and that went on for a long time. I've also been strangled by this thing. Literally, I've been slapped by it. My life in this house from the age of 7 years old was murder.
You can tell there's genuine concern there. She's almost scared of what might happen next.
She's lived in that house since she was a little girl. Now, if you think about children, they are highly imaginative, highly creative, open to learning, open to suggestion and wonder. That is the space that children live in. She may have thought she'd seen something and never said it to anyone and given it meaning, and it might have just grown up alongside her in her imagination.
At the age of 21, Rose moved out of Hell's House, away from her childhood nightmare. But But when her mother fell ill, Rose had no choice but to return to the property, along with husband Kevin.
One day I had a very unforgettable experience, and I remember waking up at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Something told me, open my eyes, and I saw this really long hand. But its finger really got me. His finger was about 12 inches long, and it was pointing straight in my eye like this. And I thought, what the hell was that?
It could have been the perspective of the finger, obviously looking a lot longer than what it was, but the fact that he's actually seen a physical hand pointing at him for what reason I do not know. I mean, it may not like the fact that he's come into the family home and it's sort of, you know, they ain't said nothing, but that's like, get out.
I think it is possible there's a risk of fictional contagion across different people's stories. And this can be even more of an issue potentially when it's somebody that you really care about. This is a story that obviously has a lot of meaning for his partner, so it's going to be something that he's more inclined to take seriously, and it's going to be potentially something that's going to color what his experiences are.
Despite witnessing terrifying events within the house, Rose has never been able to capture proof of anything paranormal herself. So she invited local paranormal investigators to the property to see if they could capture something. The team stayed in Hell's house overnight. They brought along an SLS camera, which maps in shapes when the infrared beams it emits are interrupted. And in Rose's childhood bedroom, they were able to capture this.
Oh, there's one on the bed right next to you, Marie, and there's one dancing on the bottom of the bed. Oh. It's come out of the corner. It's one of them is actually stood on you.
It does seem to be mapping in. One looks actually quite like a child. I mean, if you look at the different sizes of the figures, that's definitely interesting.
It's stood right on your stomach.
I like to see the scientific side of it. If something was caught on CCTV or something like that, I'd probably, if I were them, I would set something like that up in the house to have that more firm evidence.
While the evidence is interesting, nothing irrefutable has so far been captured. After hearing such strong eyewitness testimony from Rose, we sent seasoned investigator Danny Moss into Hell's house, equipped with the latest technology in search of some concrete proof.
Rose's childhood home, very, very interesting location. I want to get in there myself and really try and provoke what is going on in there. But if any of the stories are true, then we could be dealing with a real serious problem here.
Is there a heaven? I don't know. Is there a hell? I don't know. But I do know that for some reason spirits stay on this plane and they're in my house.
Paranormal activity is not simply confined to encounters on Earth. It's also used to describe what happens up above in our skies. One of the first documented sightings of an unidentified flying object was in 1947 in America. Since then, eyewitness testimony has increased exponentially. In 2017, on the outskirts of Bristol, England, two friends witnessed a curious bright light in the sky. Describing it as a ring of blue fire, they believe it's a UFO.
It's mad, isn't it? What? Where'd that go? No, it's a circle.
Are they outside? I can't even tell where they are.
I would be saying, is it a reflection of a headlight or is it, some kind of star? But then, boom, turns into a circle.
Look, you can still see it flashing now. It's a circle now. That was a ball just a minute ago, wasn't it? Yeah, what the...
We have an expectation of what a UFO might look like. To me, that's just an unidentified object. I don't know what that is.
You can discount Chinese lanterns because they're more of a flame. I'm no expert in space, but I wouldn't say a meteor would come down with that hollow-looking circle.
Does a light in the sky equate to some sort of otherworldly intelligence directly? I would question the steps that it takes to get there. I think there's a number of things that need to happen before you can come to that conclusion definitively.
Supernatural activity might be seen or heard, but the most exciting encounters are when spirits appear to interact with the living. The exorcist Ralph Keaton is well known for making physical contact with the afterlife. In 2004, in Chester in the UK, Ralph hosted a paranormal event at Stanley Palace. It was on this night that Ralph's group of enthusiasts believed they experienced poltergeist activity.
One of them, group, wanted to do table tipping. It's just something that's a bit of a phenomenon. It's a round table and it has 3 legs on the base.
Table tipping is a type of seance in which participants gather around a table, place their hands on it, and wait for paranormal movement.
The one thing I said to them all is, don't press, you just put your hands on it, and if you feel like somebody else is causing you issues, you talk to each other. But we put 4 people on this table that didn't know each other, and sure enough, the table started to tip. And it started to tip backwards and forwards. Eventually, if you imagine, it's pivoted on 2 legs and the one leg went in the air and it clipped onto the stairs. Then the next minute, it starts swinging its legs around and starts walking up the stairs.
Take it up, Jack. Oh my God. Oh my God. He's wedging it behind that.
When you watch the footage, you will see the group arguing at each other over who is doing what. And you'll also see the group lifting their hands off it and the table's still rocking.
Oh. Jack, not you. Steady with the table, Jack. Not you. He's where? I don't know if he can...
You'll also see the table at one point, it moves on its own. And you see everybody's hands are still here and they follow it.
Oh my God! He did too then. He did too.
Wow. First off, kudos to him for whoever filmed it, because you can see their hands are not on the edges of the table. Nobody's pushing it.
If I hadn't experienced something very similar myself, I would have said that is nonsense. First, it started with really subtle movements, and I was a bit like, don't know what to make of this. But soon, it started literally walking the table around the room. I have no explanation for it. So seeing this clip, it doesn't surprise me.
While paranormal experiences might be exhilarating for some, they might also be frightening to others. In Middlesbrough, in the northeast of England, Rose has always perceived the entities that she believes exist in her childhood home as negative. Paranormal investigator Danny Moss is ready to begin his investigation at Hell's House and is hoping his unorthodox techniques will attract attention.
I consider myself quite different to most paranormal investigators out there, where a lot of people like to be calm in their approach. They like to sit and wait patiently. I'm one for provoking.
According to Rose, the spirits could appear anywhere in Hell's House. Danny decides to start with the living room.
Okay, what I'm gonna do, guys, is do an S-box session similar to the SB7 spirit box, okay? Except the difference with this, it doesn't pick up on any radio confliction. So the S-box is a brand new design that has come straight from America. The unique thing about this is that it can jam the frequency. So if it was picking up on a voice or a noise in the atmosphere, it will sense that coming through, jam the frequency to allow more clarity to anything that does come through. Now, in previous investigations, I have had incredible evidence through this device, okay? So I want to put this right in the middle of the table and see if we can get anything coming in, all right? Okay, guys, you can hear the white noise, yeah? We are looking for anything that may possibly come through that white noise. Now, if there is anything in the atmosphere, in this room, it will come through that, I guarantee it. Present yourself to me. Present yourself to this man here. Where are you?
When you're in the field, you must not, first of all, have aggression, because you don't know if you are dealing with any entities and you are showing aggression or any form of aggression, expect it back.
I keep thinking that I'm seeing that curtain move, but I'm not sure.
Speak to me now! What the hell was that? Did you hear that? What did that say? Speak again! Speak again, let me hear you! Holy shit! Did you hear that?
That's pretty cool. I'm kind of surprised, though, it answered him, because if somebody was shouting at me like that, I'd be like, no way, I'm not talking to you. But there's definitely something responding.
I want to. And that seems like a really clear male voice to me.
Speak to me now!
I want to.
The other response that I'm hearing is, I see you, which is quite clear.
Speak again, let me hear you!
I see you.
Holy shit!
Whether it's a conscious response to what he's asking, I'm not sure, because I couldn't quite clearly hear what the response was. But I think there is some kind of energy there.
It is the same voice, which is what's really interesting to me. If it's scanning through those frequencies so quickly, you're not going to have the same voice directly after each other unless it is an entity trying to communicate with you.
Upon closer examination, it seems as though the electronic voice phenomena captured might be directed at Rose.
I want to. I see you.
But it wants me. I've always said that. And my husband, Kevin, will tell you, it wants me. He's picked me up off the floor when I've been punched, and he's had to drag me out the house. But it wants me. Wants me, body and soul.
But suddenly, the investigation takes an even darker turn, as the energy in the room seems to be targeting Kevin.
You got pain in your neck? Yeah, a little bit of pain in the neck, yeah.
Where, just here?
Yeah. Here. Yeah.
Has Danny's provocative approach angered whoever was trying to make contact? Although advancements in technology have created more sophisticated ways to capture paranormal events, investigative teams across the world have been relying on cameras to document their findings for decades. In an unknown location in America, 2 novice investigators were monitoring outside activity at a reportedly haunted site when they believe they witnessed an apparition rise up from the ground.
Damn. Whoa. Wow.
Dude, my arm here, there's sticking up too much.
Oh, that's a trap.
Wait.
The corner?
Yeah, just have it. I thought I saw something right in that corner, right there. Dude!
I can't even make head or tail of what I'm looking at.
Dude, I do not want to be here.
Yeah.
I do not want to be here. That was freaking me out, man.
Dude!
I feel like I'm being directed to expect something frightening. The guys I can hear sound terrified.
Oh,
did you see that?
Yes.
Dude, where'd it go?
Right out of the ground, straight up.
That was not a cat. That was not a bird.
It could be moisture in the air. It could be that it is really cold where they are, and it's just the guy behind the camera, his breath.
I've actually witnessed several different occasions, something very similar, sort of a spirit mist. And it seems to be, it's sort of the beginning of a manifestation, as though it doesn't have quite enough energy to manifest into a full-bodied apparition.
Let's go. I'm done.
They've set the scene. They're primed, and if you're open to the suggestion that there is some kind of ghostly activity, that's what you'll see.
It's really interesting. And in my opinion, could that be some form of a spirit energy? Yeah, I'd say they captured a good one there.
Investigators believe that hauntings can either be intelligent, where a spirit can interact, or residual, where the echo of a long-past person remains as the energy can't dissipate. In 2016, in Nottingham, England, Paranormal investigator Tony Ferguson believes he may have captured residual energy when filming in the caves beneath the city.
As I walked into Nottingham Caves, you walk in through two what I call different realities, our reality and travelling back in time. The moment I walked down the stairs, I did a bit of calling out just to see if there's anything around that particular area. And the moment I did, within about a minute or so, these curtains just started moving on their own. So I pulled the curtains round, just to have a little peek round, just to see if there's anyone there, but it's just a dead-end wall. We then moved off from that point to the middle part of the caves, and a lot of the caves there are inaccessible. So I started putting the camera down in different angles, just to sort of see what's going on in parts of the caves that are not accessible. We were doing a bit of calling out, and this smell of rotten flesh just suddenly appeared. Literally, as that happened, I turned around and saw this apparition just shoot past. It's like a whoosh, really quickly. And as I've turned round back onto facing over this part where people can't access, you just see this figure over 7 feet tall, suddenly just walking past, holding a lantern.
Are there any spirits there at all?
I just couldn't get over the mere size. It's wearing like a dark robe, has a facial feature to it, but it's almost like its head's hunching down like that. And you just see it just literally walk across this platform, what's not accessible, and then walk straight through a wall.
I see a light very slowly moving across the top, but just a little pinprick, and then I'm seeing another one underneath it. So it does look like there's somebody walking across there.
What's really good is as it moves across the grills, you almost see the figure as well, a full-bodied figure move with the lantern, which is really good. So it's not just a light anomaly. You've also almost got a bit of a mass there to go with it. I think that's a really good bit of footage.
I can't debunk it myself just yet. It seems to be quite genuine.
I think that's a great capture. The fact that you can kind of make out that there's a bit of a figure and you can see the light from the lantern and the way it's sort of moving as though it was hanging is really interesting.
Investigative teams across the world all strive to record paranormal evidence on camera, but some activity is harder to capture, as not all encounters are visual. In more extreme cases, they can be physical. In Middlesbrough, in the UK, Rose and Kevin have both experienced what they believe to be direct poltergeist activity.
I used to sit down in the living room, and there's a special chair which your mother used to sit on. But I started sitting on that chair, I could remember getting sharp pains in my neck. Every time I sat on the chair, I started getting these pains.
During the investigation, Kevin believes he might have been physically manipulated by the spirits that Danny has provoked.
What I'm going to do, because you're feeling that, I'm going to put the SLS camera on you, OK? Structured light sensor camera, OK? Now, what this does is it basically maps figures in a skeletal form. So if I was to point this at you, it would map pure skeletal form, OK? Now, it's believed to be able to track spirits as well, OK? So I'm going to arm that now. Kevin, just stay there for me, OK? You all right, Kev, yeah?
Yeah, I'm all right. I just feel like there's sort of waves in my body at the moment, but I can grin and bear it. It's not painful, but you can feel something's building.
You said it moves around this back area of the room, yeah?
I saw like a black thing that moved around Kevin. It moves around the curtains, it moves around here.
Can you ask them to come and stand behind you, please?
If there's any spirits here, will you come and stand behind me?
Just point to the curtain. This one behind you. Ask them to come and stand right by your hand.
Come stand right by my hand.
Do as he asks. Oh my days, there's a figure. Oh my God, Kev, right where you're pointing, there is a figure stood right there. I swear to God, there is a figure stood there. Oh, it's gone. It's gone. Show yourself again. Thank you. Can you point to Kevin? Can you point to this gentleman sat down? It's pointing up, it's pointing upstairs. It was stood right there, it disappeared, it came back and it started pointing up above us.
I love that. On command. It doesn't get any better than that. If you can say, come where he's at, and it shows up, that it doesn't really get much better than that.
Once you start dealing with fear and the emotionality, that's going to further color the kind of perceptual experience that you have, potentially.
He's asked a question, and on command, he's got a response with the SLS, which, is still tried and tested in the field. Yes, it does show a stick figure of what you would interpret to be a human form, which is, impressive.
What's interesting about it is that it's in a specific area that he is asking this spirit to stand and having that figure map in, having it disappear, and then asking for it to come back and then seeing it again. Could it be a fluke? Possibly.
What's above?
Is it telling us to go upstairs?
Guys, I think we need to move upstairs. The figure there pointing upstairs is telling us to go upstairs.
No, we'll go back up them stairs.
And I think we should listen.
Today, cameras are used to record more and more aspects of our daily lives. And this has resulted in many brief encounters with the spirit world being accidentally captured. In 2017, in Thailand, a group of motocross riders believe they might have captured a fleeting appearance of an ancient Thai woman. This evidence was filmed on one of the riders' helmet cameras whilst traveling through the woods.
Are we talking about that thing on the right-hand side by the trunk? Because I see that. Trained eye.
I didn't see it the first time through. When they slowed it down, that's when I saw it. So I don't know what that is.
The brain works in very different ways. If we look at clouds, we can sit there and go, oh, look, there's a dragon, there's a unicorn. Your brain makes sense of things. So when I look at that, I go, it's trees and leaves.
I mean, it could be reflection of light hitting the lens, causing an optical illusion. Why would it appear in the woods? I suppose if they're going through on motorbikes, creating a load of ruckus noise, going through, this sort of entity appears as if to say, like, what the hell's going on here? Do you know what I mean?
Some locations have such gruesome pasts, it seems almost inevitable that paranormal activity would occur. Bodmin Jail in Cornwall in the UK was built in 1778. It was notorious for executing its prisoners by public hangings. Although the jail closed in 1927, it seems some of its former residents never left.
I've heard people's stories of where they've walked in and come out crying because they've picked up on someone else's energy. There's just a lot of anger, upset, emotion. It's just an emotional place. You just walk in there and you know that this place has had a lot of bad things taking place there in the past.
Investigator Tony Ferguson has visited many haunted locations, but believes the evidence he captured at Bodmin Jail is undeniable proof of the paranormal.
The moment we got in there, I felt like a pressure on my chest. I knew that there was something there. Started doing a bit of calling out, trying to sort of build some energy in the building. My other half came downstairs with me after a while. We started reading up plaques. And there was this one particular character that killed a horse. His name was William. And so I read out the plaque and said, William, are you here? The lights just went dark. I've turned round and it's pitch black and my camera's not picking up the end of the corridor. I could see a figure down there, but the camera never picked it up. I've put the camera down on the actual side. I always leave cameras lying around because you never know what you capture. Within 2 minutes of doing that, this apparition that I saw earlier walked past.
It was only when Tony reviewed his footage did he see for himself the apparition he caught on camera.
I just see this figure in dark clothing, old style clothing. It's not something people would be wearing in this day and age. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
I was locked in Bodmin Jail for 2 12-hour investigations and had quite possibly one of the most terrifying experiences in all my years of investigating the paranormal in that very same spot as that apparition is captured. It is definitely a really interesting clip. The movement, the height of the figure, everything seems very familiar to me because of my experience.
Say you see a manifestation of an entire person, is that thing necessarily a ghost is still an open question. Like what the content of that thing that you're seeing is, there is still a lot of things to be answered about that, even if you have the perceptual experience of seeing a thing.
I'm quite impressed with what he's actually caught here. And I know the prison. I would put that in top 5 of the most haunted places in the UK.
Reports of paranormal activity are not exclusive to old buildings steeped in history. Modern residential properties also appear to stage many unexplainable encounters. In Middlesbrough, in the UK, the investigation at Hell's House has started to gain momentum. Investigator Danny Moss believes the spirits are directing them to Rose's childhood bedroom. Reluctantly, she agrees to move upstairs.
This bedroom here was my first room. And as time was going on, every single night, something was happening in the room. And it always happened after 12 o'clock. I used to hear a dog that used to bark outside the gates. So I knew when that dog barked, something was coming into the room.
Before Danny can even set up his equipment, Rose hears something in the hallway.
I can hear, it sounds like a bloke mumbling.
There was a noise confliction outside.
It wasn't that. I can usually tell know the difference between the car and people outside. It was a low grumbling.
Growing up, Rose had also witnessed a strange human-like figure bending backwards and walking towards her in a crab-like manner at the top of the stairs.
Okay, Rose, I'm going to put this down, all right? What this does is measure sudden sharp 5 degree or more temperature drops or rises, okay? I'm going to put that right where you said then, okay? Right there. Hello? Can you pass me that prayer sheet, please? Now, there is a prayer in the master's bedroom that Rose is very cautious of. I thought it may be a useful experiment to try to attempt to gain evidence and see if we can provoke something by reading it out.
I'm not going anywhere near you.
Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection.
As Danny reads the prayer, Rose is very nervous.
We had the house blessed again before Christmas. The priest came round and blessed the whole of this house. And he said he did a special blessing with salt. And it made it worse. More attacks. I got sucker punched. So we don't pray in this house.
What does this mean? I read this earlier. Did it offend you?
Oh, my days. Right on cue. That's a serious, serious drop in temperature. You can feel it. Put your hand here.
I can feel it. I can feel it here.
Kev, put your hand here.
I don't want to what's it.
Feel how cold that is?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
OK, guys, what I'm going to do now is put the SLS camera back on. Obviously, we mapped the figure that pointed up here from downstairs. I'm going to see if we can try and map something in this hallway. OK, the temperature pod's obviously just gone off. Rose, you said you saw something out there. I'm going to try and map it on here now. Is anyone in this hallway? Oh, my word. Oh, my God, what is that doing? Did you see that, Kev?
What was it?
Do you know you said to me there was a crab-like figure? That has just come up on here. I swear to you, that has just come up on here. Kev, did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
Literally, Rose, a crab-like figure just come across the banister, moved to the side and moved down.
I don't want to see no crab figure.
That was not human. I swear to God, that was not human.
I've never seen anything like that on an SLS camera before, ever.
I've only ever seen a SLS camera map something in like that once before. And it is really strange because it doesn't seem to move in any sort of humanoid way.
The SLS, along with the fact that the equipment went off right after he mentioned the prayer, didn't offend him, I would say that it was probably not a fluke that it happened.
On one hand, you've got a machine that seems like it's desperately trying to interpret a figure from the light and the shadow. And then you've got people that are trying to interpret the interpretation of the machine into something that corresponds with, I think, a demon crab.
Do you know you said to me there was a crab-like figure? That has just come up on here. I swear to you, that has just come up on here.
The alternative explanation is that the machine is trying and failing to create a human figure.
All right? You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
We won't be able to bloody sleep again.
Something else to worry about.
No, but I've already seen it with my eyes anyway. In that living room, I saw it moving like a crab.
I honestly don't believe we are dealing with a normal haunting here.
After an intense evening of unexplainable encounters, Danny decides to bring the investigation to a close.
I'm always quite wary of deeming somewhere to be haunted or not. What I can say is that the evidence that I've captured, I do not believe can be scientifically explained.
Speak to me now!
I want to.
What the hell was that?
What came through the S-box is undeniable evidence for me because of my past experiences. I know how the device works. I know what it does.
I'm more nervous now, knowing that everything that we've seen and experienced in this house, somebody else has seen.
The more investigation we do, we'll get a better understanding what is here. Yeah, it'll give us a better peace of mind, I think.
I'd be really excited to investigate this location purely because of S-box responses that Danny received. This is two very clear voices. You can clearly hear that I want you and I see you.
I want her. I see you.
And it's the same voice, and that gets me excited.
Even if somebody had come in and been like, hey, these are random noises, here's all the reasons physically, like why this has all these other explanations that seem more plausible than malevolent spirit entities. Even if she was confronted with all of that information, once you're holding on to these beliefs for a period of time, it's very, very difficult to change your opinion about these things.
I think Rose as a subject is what's got the haunting, what's got the ghosts or the energy around it, rather than the location. And I think if we looked into it a little bit more, we might be able to see that this energy that's trying to get in touch with Rose might not be as evil and demonic as they think it is.
The communication might have gotten more negative just because they're trying so hard to say something. I hate to leap to it being negative, or I hate to leap to it being a demon, but I wouldn't stay around, even if it wasn't meant to be negative. No way.
Would I ever come back and live in this house? No. I also wouldn't sell this property to another family, because I wouldn't want another child to go through what I went through. Non-believers, sceptic, talk to my husband, because he was just like you. He didn't believe in anything. He didn't think ghosts exist. He didn't think ghosts could hurt you. Come stay a week in this house and see if you're a sceptic at the end of it. I doubt it.
Whether it's ghosts, aliens, or other paranormal phenomena, as encounters happen across the globe, evidence will continue to be captured by witnesses and investigators. But will it be enough to explain the unexplainable?